Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Mallory's Weird World Adventures, the podcast. I'm your host, Mallory.
And I'm your host, Michael.
And we're here to show you just how weird this world of ours really is.
I have to point out that was take 2 because I've been absent the last couple weeks and somebody left me off the intro this time.
I cut him out. I just kept going. Like he wasn't even here.
I wasn't even here.
I was in the zone. I was even looking
Story
at
of
you.
my life. I know, you're looking directly at me. Locked eyes, direct eye contact, and I'm going to skip right over you. Clearly very ancillary to this podcast, which is fine. That's fine.
That's not true.
It's fine. I know my role.
Okay. Well, I wanna catch back up because you weren't here this past week when I talked to Marston, and I feel like there were so many things that I wanted to talk to you about that we talked about that we have to come back and
Listen to it.
Yeah,
it was good. I mean, he has a lot of the same hobbies I have.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Mostly video games.
Yes,
that's my hobby.
My hobby.
I'm a very adult.
Video games.
Yes.
Well, I guess I should start with we talked about Hammerwatch, so we are playing Hammerwatch right now.
We are,
and it's a lot of fun. And I thought about you specifically because you half played a melee character when we started the second campaign, and you're like, screw this. And he even said the melee characters just are in a bad spot and have to take
it's just
a lot
not
of damage.
A game built for that. Mm-hmm. For anyone who's like, why the hell are we talking about video games on this Travel Weird World podcast? Mm-hmm. I don't know. But to catch you up, we're talking about a video game. I think it's on PC and a bunch of the consoles.
It was on Steam, I guess, first.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like an indie game. It's made to look retro. Mm-hmm. It looks like something that would have probably been like Super Nintendo era graphics, pixel graphics. It's like top down. You're just a little dude. It's good couch co-op. You can play with, I think, up to 4 people, like local, not on the internet. Yeah, I think it plays up to 4. Anyways, you just pick a maid or an archer, or, like a paladin or a warrior, and it's just kind of like a hack and slash dungeon crawler. But yeah, it's definitely not built for melee. I mean, because you basically trade damage as the melee. You have to get up next to everything and you're just gonna take damage. But it's pretty survivally. So the heals are pretty sparse relative to like how often you're gonna take damage as a melee person. So you would need a party of 3 because someone would basically have to be a dedicated healer.
And that would be boring.
And who the hell wants to do that?
It's also, there are so many enemies. There are so many enemies. I can't imagine just taking that much damage repeatedly.
And some of the boss fights are more like a bullet hell type game where there's just, like a million things moving around the screen and
right.
I mean,
you're
not going to get in there.
Right.
Anyway,
it's fun. We're playing ranged.
Play ranged characters.
And it's a lot of fun. And then we started talking about, we didn't get to talk much about Unplugged and just our love of board games. And I wanted to talk to you about that because me and Michael love board games.
Yeah.
We play a lot of board games, and we found out there's this cafe by our house that...
I don't know how... I've lived here my whole adult life, and most of my not adult life, no idea it was right down the street.
Right? So. And it's literally just a place to go and have dinner, and there's a bar side, and they just have an entire library of tabletop games.
1,300 games, I think.
And they come over like, what kind of games do you like? Would you like a recommendation? And I mean, and they recommended some good games. Mm-hmm. We played Harmonies, which was really fun.
You just like to boop.
I love boop so much. It's so complicated, and it shouldn't be.
You're pretty bad at it.
Hey, I beat you last time. Nope.
It's 5-1. 5-1.
But that's because now I know
Not
the
that
strategy.
I'm keeping exact score.
Oh my God. Well, now I know the strategy.
The strategy?
Yes. Well, to take you down. I watched how you play, and now I beat you.
Well, it's because I did the same thing 6 times in a row, and
wow,
it took you 6 times to
adjust.
You're
a douche. Well, what's your situation with Soro then?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's my game. It's nice and peaceful. Slide around some paths, build patterns.
How many turns did it take to lose Undaunted?
Wow.
3?
I didn't know what I was doing. You didn't. You also were surprised that you won that round.
I wasn't surprised that I won. I was surprised that the competition was that
No,
was that
you were
inadequate.
like, you got a special card and you got to pull
Special
stuff
card.
and whatever it was.
He got the special card.
It's like that magic game all over again. Anyway.
Yeah, I do like to take credit for introducing you to magic.
Mm-hmm.
Many years ago.
We were...
Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
Not pull rabbits out of your...
I was 11, maybe? I think we went to Cheatham Annex, which me and Marissa called Cheatham Annex.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the time we went to Water Country.
Yeah, at the beach, right?
The beach.
Yeah.
And no, it was in Williamsburg, right? Cheatham Annex is near Williamsburg.
You're right.
And we went to Water Country, and your grandparents were there because they were on the pull-out couch, and it was lumpy, and they hated it. So me and Marissa switched onto the pull-out couch the next day, and they slept in the bunk beds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I remember that. And my grandfather, he was a pretty tall guy, and those bunk beds were meant for children.
Yes.
I remember him just like hanging off the thing.
Because it was the four of us in bunk beds in that room.
Yes.
And then
I went with my best friend, and my sister took her best friend, who happens to be Malorie.
Wow. Anyway, it was a great trip. That was when you guys were so bored playing each other in Magic that you basically told us, you guys are going to play Magic with us.
Well, yeah, because this is it's not pre-internet, but it was pre-Magic being online. It was pre a lot of, most games weren't networked.
Right.
And I don't think there was Magic online yet. So it was hard, to play Magic, you had to have a physical deck, which I love having the physical cards. But we're also, if you were 11, we would have been 14. So, you can't drive.
Right.
So you're really pretty much going to play with the people you, the direct friends you have, right? And of my friend group, Adam was the only one that played Magic.
Oh, no.
So we would just play each other, but we would also strategize Magic together and build the decks together. So we would literally basically have the same deck playing itself.
Right.
So, that's only that fun for so long.
Right.
You had to come up with creative ways.
Well, then you just had us
play
play each other.
Yeah.
Right.
With our coaching.
Well, you just stood behind me and told me which cards to play, so you're really just playing
It's a totally different game. It's a totally different game.
And I almost won, and then...
See, the trick is you lost, but because it wasn't me playing, I didn't have to, take the loss to Adam.
Right. Well...
You took the loss to Marissa.
Well, Marissa pulled some card, and you're like, oh, you just lost the game because she pulled that card. That is the one card in his deck that would do that. And he agreed. Everyone's just like, man, you were gonna win. I kicked her ass the whole time, and that one card just changed everything. I have no idea what it was.
I don't remember the card.
And you weren't messing with us. You were both wow, that was a good game.
Was I really not? It
no,
sounds
really.
like the kind of thing I would do.
You were both that was a really good game. You guys were not being assholes for one time
That
ever.
doesn't sound like us at all.
And you're like, no, that was a really good game, but man, you had her, but that one
We must have
card.
been really bored if we weren't being assholes. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think there was anything to do at the facility, at Cheatham Annex, except we did stuff around it. We went to
it's
Water
near a bunch
Country.
of stuff. It's near Busch Gardens.
But I think when we were there, we didn't have anything to do. So.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's why I think that happened.
But normally I would torture you would have tortured you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
There was a lot of torture.
It was an off day.
There was a lot of torture during that trip too. I remember you guys sassing the crap out of us. We went to some seafood place, and it was a buffet. Your parents took us to a seafood buffet, and I could eat. And I remember just eating my weight. I like how you said that in the past tense.
She can still eat.
I like food. I get excited by food.
I know.
Yeah, and beverages.
Like
Starbucks. Oh my God, I have to tell the Starbucks story.
Oh my God.
He doesn't want to hear it again. Okay, I have to.
What's going to happen? I can't wait to hear this again for the fourth time today.
Wait, this is a PSA for everyone because you know how much I love Starbucks. And I thought that the pre-order at Starbucks, that you can pre-order your food and come pick it up, or your drinks, was just the best thing ever because it saves me so much time. I can pre-order my drink.
Just pull in and grab it.
Just run in, okay, got it, and I'm out. And, some locations that are busier or in more city central areas will keep it behind the counter so people just can't come in and grab whoever's drink. And then the ones like ours where it's kind of, more suburban, they just leave the drinks out for people to come grab. And our Starbucks right by my house, they do that. I come in all the time, just grab my drink and leave. And today I pre-ordered it, and I came in and I come to get the drink, and I just see this older woman holding my drink. And, she's like kind of like holding it like it's hers, but there's no like, is this my drink? Like she's just holding it like it's her drink. And I'm like, oh, okay, should I say something? I don't know. And while I'm like deciding what to do in my head, she puts a straw in it. I'm like, oh no.
She's going to make this decision for you.
She did. And then she pulls it up and just like, and like has the taste test at and then just makes this face that just says, oh, that's not my drink. I like, clearly I get those shaken espressos and it can look like a chai or something. So she probably got something like a chai that's supposed to be lighter and just like sugary. And my espresso is not sugary. So the face was this, I was expecting something sweet and delicious, and this tastes like hard coffee, right? Ugh, like, and I'm like, well, she just drank a sip of my drink, so I guess I'm going to go tell them to remake it. So I go, that's the other thing, no one was in there. So people weren't talking, it wasn't loud, so I'm trying to be coy.
So just you and this woman.
Yes. Okay. And I'm trying to be
barista.
coy, and I don't want to embarrass her, because you know what, I'm sure I would have made a dumb mistake like that, right? So I just kind of go over, and I was like, excuse me, can I, and he sees like that I had gone for a mobile order and come over. So rather than coming over to talk to me, the barista just goes, you had a mobile order? What was the name? And he's just trying to, like, okay, we made it. Hold on. And he's looking around. And I'm like, well, hold on. Can you just come here for a second? I'm like gesturing, like, hold on. I just come closer.
Read the room.
Yeah, he won't read the room. He's just buzzing around. He won't come talk to me. Because I'm trying to say, can you just remake my drink? That woman took a sip of it.
That disgusting woman put her lips on a straw and touched my drink.
So now it's this whole like public thing because he's looking for it. And she goes,
this other woman.
Yes. And she goes, oh, this is your drink right here. You know what? I put my straw in it, but don't worry, you can have it. I didn't drink it. And just hands it to me, like walks it over. And I'm like, but I saw you take a sip of it.
That's quite the double down on it. Like, I watched, but I saw you drink it. I watched you do the whole thing. The taste test, the nasty face when you didn't get what you wanted. I'm going to put this back. I watched the whole process.
The whole thing.
You are lying to my face.
And then I'm like, well, crap. I either call her a liar in front of this barista and embarrass the crap out of her, or just take it. But I'm not going to take it and leave because I can't drink after people. That's disgusting. And this is a stranger. I don't know. She could have herpes, right? I'm not drinking this. So I take it. And
Man,
I'm like,
when was your last herpes flare?
I take it.
Because I definitely saw you drink the shit out of this. I was right there. There's only us two in here.
And I'm sure there's people in the world that wouldn't care. But like one of my isms is like the germaphobe. I can't drink after people. I have like a backwash thing. I can't do it. My dad like used to get so offended when I was a kid because when I decided, like, I don't know, whenever it bothered me about the backflow and I thought about it, I could never again share a drink. And my dad like would be like, can I just share this drink with you? I'd be like, no, I don't share drinks with people. And he's like, you came out of me. I'm like, I don't care.
This is a completely irrelevant tangent.
Anyway.
Here. No, I haven't.
Okay.
Oh, yes, don't worry. I am aware that all of this is an irrelevant
Okay.
tangent. But I have an even further level of tangent.
Yes.
Speaking of backwash, in middle school, like 8th grade, you remember the science fair?
Yes.
I went hard into science, but I hated the science. I never had a good science fair experience all through whatever. But I vividly remember the kid who won our 8th grade, like overall science fair, because his project was he measured the bacterial growth in like varying amounts in I think different liquids the backwash, like what grew, and it was like this full like he had like like light microscope like zoomed in pictures like full slides like the whole petri dish is grown, and I'm like there with my like aluminum foil terrarium like that I put together the night before. And I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this? The kids, both his parents were, I think, PhD microbiologist.
Well,
I'm like,
there you go.
I'm like,
they did it for
they
him.
ran this in their lab. You didn't do shit.
Right.
Where are you getting agar plates and petri dishes and light microscopes with camera equipment hooked up to take pictures through? Like, you're in 8th grade.
God. That's not fair.
I've seen you eat your own boogers. You're not doing any petri dish.
So the real point is that backwash is real. As proven by his science.
I don't remember the results. I'll have to find them on social media.
Well,
what were the results of your the science fair project that you definitely did yourself? I'm sure you remember. Anyways.
Well, she drank my drink.
Yeah.
And then she lied to my face and said, I didn't drink it. I just put my straw in it.
That's a
Here
strong
you go.
move.
It is.
Here's what I would have done if I... Here's my, like, middle ground coward position if I was the person that took the sip. First of all, I wouldn't have doubled. I would have gotten the fuck out of Dodge.
Right.
Like, as soon as I realized, I would have just been like, I'm gonna get... But if I took a sip of someone else's drink, realized, oh, fuck, that's not my, like, drink, I would have just kept it. Like, I would have walked out with him like, I guess this is what I'm drinking. Like, that was my... I totally fucked it up, so I guess I'm drinking this nasty drink, and, they'll get a new one or whatever. But I would have just left with the nasty order.
Right.
Or what I didn't order.
Right.
And called no attention to myself and slunk out of there. I'm like, well, better luck next time, Mike.
Right.
Don't drink drinks that aren't yours.
Right. Well... I didn't.
But putting it down is like the I guess more coward position. But then just straight doubling down, lying to your face is like the weirdly I don't know. It's a weird position.
Then I didn't want to I didn't want to call her out because I'm like, one, I'm not going to get in a fight at Starbucks, and two, I feel bad. I would make a dumb mistake like that. I feel like she was really embarrassed, so I didn't want to call her out. So I just kind of went and sat down, like, oh, thank you. And
I'm just going to sip this drink that's definitely not been sipped before.
And I waited for her to leave and then went back up to the barista and was like, she took a sip of my drink.
See, that's a pretty good middle ground coward position.
Yeah. Can I just get a and they remade it. And the girl, there was the woman that was like running the register and the barista, and the girl that was running the register told me, well, you're a better person than I am. I would have called her out. I'm like, well, she was embarrassed. I don't know. I would have owned it. I would have been like, I thought this was mine, and I took a sip of it.
See,
that's
better. I would have slunk out of there with the wrong drink. Like, God damn it, I'm just going to drink this nasty drink. I only drink black coffee, though. I'm not a Starbucks person.
Yeah, so...
Everywhere we travel, this is a travel podcast.
It is.
Everywhere we travel, you always have to stop at the goddamn Starbucks.
It fuels me. You can be addicted to a lot of bad things, and if it's just Starbucks, I'm going to take it. That's my...
There's worse vices.
Yes.
I'll give you that.
I mean, it's just, if I can have one drink and nurse it throughout the day, evening, and it brings me joy, I'm just going to do that. My
problem with it is, like, that kind of stuff that you order, and it's not even coffee. It's a milkshake with some coffee in it.
Whoa. I don't like the sugary Starbucks either. I get is the brown sugar oat milk shake and espresso. So it is a shake and espresso.
That's stupid oat milk.
And it's oat milk. And I only get one pump of the sugar. So I get no sugar in it. Because I agree, Starbucks is too sugary for me. I don't like any of their lattes. Yeah. None of it. Because it's just sugar. It's
a milkshake.
Right.
That has some caffeine in it.
Yes. When I go there, I will get a chai tea latte sometimes. I do like the chai tea lattes. Sometimes I'll add a shot of espresso because I like the dirty chai, is what they call it. Mm-hmm. I like a hot latte just with oat milk, with no flavoring, no sugar, none of it.
Except for the nasty oat milk flavoring.
Oat milk tastes so wonderful. No, it tastes great. You don't even know.
I do know. It's not good.
It does taste good. Anyway.
It's black coffee.
Anyway,
Be a man.
I like to try different Starbucks around the world. I think it's fun to go to different countries because the drinks are different at different Starbucks around the world.
I wouldn't know.
So it's fun.
They all have black coffee.
They do. Well, actually.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah.
You wanted a cold brew. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was iced coffee or cold brew. It was a cold brew, I think.
Yeah, but it wasn't a nitro one.
Just a regular.
I want a cold coffee.
I think so. We were in Romania. We were in Cluj-Napoca, and we wanted to order you what was it? I think it was just, you said a cold brew. And they said, well, we don't have that. And you said, well, can I get an iced coffee? And oh, okay. And then they kept trying to make it some kind of special latte or something.
Well, they didn't want to offer ice cube, or just.
Right, it was weird.
And it was almost like, all right, black coffee,
just put ice
and I'll be back in 20 minutes when it's cold. Just
right.
leave it out,
right?
And I'll come back for it, and we'll call it even.
I guess in Europe, people don't love cold drinks like we do. Ice is not utilized like we use ice, but still, the idea that whoever it was. We had to explain it to them. They could not fathom the idea.
Did I even get it? Or did I just settle for a black coffee? Which is fine.
No, I think you settled for some kind of iced latte.
No, I just drank that woman's drink, sipped it, and I just slunk out of there. They were trying to make you some fancy, iced latte, and you kept saying, no, I just want an iced coffee. They were insistent, well, milk goes, something goes in. I'm like, no.
I just want an iced coffee. Take the black coffee, put ice in it.
Okay, there's coffee in the cup. That's it. You're done.
It was weird.
You're done.
But they have different drinks everywhere, so it's fun. And there was one in Heidelberg that looked like a little castle. There's very fun,
That's cool.
exciting
That's fun.
Starbucks adventures. You can kind of go to Starbucks
You wrote an article
anywhere.
about
I did.
some crazy. There's weird ones, right?
Go to maloriesadventures.com and check out some of the most unusual Starbucks around the world. Some of them are
you were at
displayed.
One, right?
I did.
You asked Starbucks for their picks,
yes,
right? Of the weirdest ones.
Yes.
And one of them was one you'd been to.
It was at Prague Castle.
Oh. Right.
Yes. So the Starbucks at Prague Castle is, I want to say, it's some 4 or 5 stories tall. It's narrow. But then you just keep going up and around through different floors. And you order in the middle. And then, and then you keep going up and you can actually sit on the roof, which is like a balcony that overlooks all of Prague because you're up at Prague Castle. Prague Castle is up on the hill and it's overlooking all of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of sit up right by the gates to the castle.
Yeah.
On the top of the balcony with your Starbucks. And then you can also go down and loop around 7 stories. It's some crazy number because there's a huge staircase from the top of Prague Castle all the way down the hillside. And it just keeps going, just stairs. And you have to climb all the stairs to get up, or you can go to the base.
It's a long way to go to take a sip of the wrong drink.
Oh, my God. Well, my point in that story, by the way, was just... Now I don't want to pre-order my Starbucks ever again because how many times has someone taken a sip of my drink and I've never known?
A lot.
It just freaks me out now. It's always going to be in the back of my mind. Did someone pick this up and take a sip? Because someone actually did it today.
And then lied to your face.
And lied to my face about it.
I love that. Good.
Yeah, it was bizarre nonsense drama, and I was so stressed about it. And then my Starbucks trip, instead of saving me time by ordering ahead, took an extra 10 minutes. So.
You had to fake sit there and drink it.
But speaking of travel, we'll go back around.
What are we speaking of travel? We've talked about nothing so far.
That's good. I like talking about nothing with you. I hope you all
Thanks
enjoy
for listening.
Bye. So this next week, I'm leaving for Germany for 10 days.
And I'm not.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be following the fairy tale trail throughout Germany, through the Brothers Grimm, things that inspired them. I get to stay in the Rapunzel Tower. There's the real Rapunzel Tower that inspired the story.
I feel a little cheated on this one because, I'm not saying this whole idea was my idea, but this whole idea was my idea.
I know it was your idea. I
don't even get to go to it.
Every idea that I had got cut. It's just your idea. I wanted to see Nerdtwisher, I can't say it.
Yeah,
the fairy tale castle.
One. Is that the one Disney's
it's the one from yes, and it's in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and Disney is based on it.
Got it.
The Sleeping Beauty Castle, I think, is based on it.
Okay.
It definitely is. And I wanted to see the Unicorn Cave. And Herxheim, which is this weird occult ritual site, just because that fits in with the weird Malorie stuff. Yeah. And it just was not feasible to do all of that with the fairy tale trail.
They're like not near each other.
They're
really,
nowhere
right?
near each other. And at first, I'm down for any like crazy car ride adventure. I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
But they were down, and they're, Mallory, you're gonna be really stressed out about this. Why don't we just do? And they're pushing the fairy tale trail because it's its 50th anniversary. So that makes sense. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll just do the northern stuff. It is.
Oh, that's cool.
So it has like a special birthday. So they're very excited for me to come and do it. And then the Unicorn Cave is closed for the season. And I guess it's like a whole ordeal to like turn it on and open it up and get the
Turn
lights
on
going.
the cave.
I guess the lights and stuff. There's a whole thing.
You gotta like flip the switch on. It's a whole thing.
Right. There are animals that live in there in certain times too, so that could have something to do with it. Yeah, the unicorns. Okay. And so that just didn't work out. But the unicorn, it's interesting. I can't go there, but I can talk about it. It was a cave that they found, I want to say medieval times, and they thought that it was a cave filled with unicorn bones. So they believed it was I think it was medieval times. Here, I'll pull it up to give the exact specifics. I don't want to be wrong, but it's bizarre.
But we know those aren't real.
Well, it's from a time where they didn't think unicorns were real.
Is that true? Was that a time?
1541. I
mean,
the first recorded discovery of the cave occurred in 1541 when it was noted as a source of unicorn artifacts, thus giving the cave its name. So
what is a unicorn artifact? I mean, they're not
bones.
Real, like so.
So they found a cave filled with bones. And
oh yes, we found this wonderful tea kettle, that classic unicorn artifact. They're just known for having this kind of item in their caves.
And then, come to find out, modern studies show that it's a bunch of large prehistoric animals that took shelter in the cave. So it's a variety of prehistoric animals. So they found weird bones from mammoths to bears to ancient lions. So they were not normal bones that you would find. That's
more interesting than what I was going to, be sarcastic about.
Over 70 species of beast. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's just horse bones, right? I mean,
right.
And we know what those are. It's medieval times. You guys have knights. That's what you're known for.
Right. Well, the interesting thing, too, is Germany has a lot of cave systems, and it's so... You don't think of cave systems when you think of Germany. They have some of the oldest prehistoric civilizations and artifacts from prehistoric, civilizations found because they were saved in these caves. And the cave systems stay so cool and protected from, the elements. Yeah. And there's so many of them. So this is just another weird cave they had from prehistoric times, and they thought it was unicorns in the 1500s. And then realized it wasn't, but it's still called the Unicorn Cave.
I feel like even for the 1500s, that's a stretch. Like, no one has seen a unicorn because they don't exist. We have horses. We're knights. We're on horseback doing battle.
Right. But yes. Yeah, just use
so you just make that's definitely unicorns.
But they used to they would travel somewhere tropical and find an alligator or a crocodile and cut off its head and come back and say, "I slayed a dragon." There were some of those out there too. So it wasn't.
Those are called fraudsters trying to make a quick buck, right?
They
know they didn't slay a dragon.
Some of Karlstein is one of the big castles in the Czech Republic, and they had an alligator head there, and they had it on display like people believed it was a dragon.
I mean, I guess you could call it that. Did they? Like if it was a new species you discovered, you'd be like, well, that's a dragon. That's what dragons are. They're alligators.
Right. Anyway, that's how travel came up. But
man, we've covered nothing.
You can tell I'm exhausted and a little crazy today. But I wanted to.
So you're not going to the Unicorn Cave,
right? I'm not.
What are you doing?
I'm checking out, I think, 6 different cities that are just on the fairy tale route, and having tour guides that will tell me how it's related to the Brothers Grimm, the fairy tale trail, and I'm spending the night in the Rapunzel Tower, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, I found that tower. I don't even get to see it.
And there's some of these. I got the hotels the other day, and some of them are very like cottagey, cute fairy tale, small, tiny town. Some of them look castle-y, and then one of them is a castle. So
you staying in the Hansel and Gretel candy house? The witch's candy house?
Yeah.
You'd eat all that candy. That witch would definitely get you.
Oh, no.
You'd be there eating that candy, getting pushed into that oven, getting a nice tasty Malorie. Nom, 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 nom.
Ew. Well, I wanted to talk to you, Michael, about your experience. So speaking of Germany, I guess I have my fun little transition here.
Okay.
When I was in Heidelberg, we talked a lot about the history of education and how nobles back in the time that went to Heidelberg University, several hundred years ago, a sign of being educated was being sent to other cities to attend court in different places to learn different cultures and how other societies lived. And even women, too. I mean, that was a girl's education, right? Was to be sent to court in different places to learn different skills and cultures. Mm-hmm. And so travel was, at least for a long time, a sign of culture and education. And I feel like our mindset here in the U.S. is quite different. A lot of times we're very closed off, and we don't. It's changed a little bit with Instagram and Gen Z and millennials, where people aren't as afraid to travel, but there's still a stigma behind travel here, and I feel people don't always get the experience to travel, and I feel like it's unfortunate because what's going to make you well-rounded and cultured overall and more accepting of people is to get out and see the world, and you got to do that when you were younger. You traveled and lived in other places.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I took it for granted that just everybody traveled growing up.
I didn't travel till I was.
I know, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying
19,
that was correct. I
20?
just never dawned on me to think of it as something unusual, or that a U.S. didn't do it that often. Yeah, because I was a military brat. My dad was a Marine, so we moved a lot, and I spent 3 years living in Okinawa. He got stationed there. I would have been 3rd through 5th grade, so old enough to have solid, good memories of it, but young enough where I guess could enjoy it, because the island is small. I think it's 60 miles or so in in longest diameter.
Yeah.
So it's tiny. I mean, it takes a little while to get places because there wasn't any highways or anything on it, so everything was kind of a back road. But yeah, I think it's from top to bottom it's only 60 miles. It's some very small, relatively small distance. So if you were probably high school, you'd go stir crazy. I think the high school had 80 kids in it.
Oh,
no. For 4th grade. I mean, it was
Yeah.
But elementary school was a good time. That age was good. It was, you're easily entertained. We lived on a military base there, so you just kind of had free reign. I mean, you're kind of automatically safe as on the base, because there's literally guards that don't let you leave the base.
Right.
So the families were fine just letting the kids roam the neighborhood, because it's literally barbed wired off with a gate that is guarded by MPs with guns. You're not you're not going anywhere, right? You can go around that neighborhood, but that's as far as you're going to get.
Right.
There were a few different bases, but to get from one to the other, you have to be able to drive, and driving between them was off base. So anyways, but I was on McT, and the elementary school I went to was literally across the street from me. I could see it from my front window, so it was good. I mean, all my I lived. They were 4 houses as one building. Almost like townhouses.
Yeah.
But they were built out of solid concrete and steel.
Oh my god.
Because it was it's right in the middle of hurricane, typhoon. They were called typhoons there. I think it's the same idea. And you get some crazy storms. So these things were built bomb shelters.
That's fun.
Anyways, I lived there for 3 years, and we moved a whole bunch before I ended up here. This is where my dad's last station as a Marine was, and then he retired and continued doing basically the same job, but as a civilian. But we traveled a whole bunch, not just moving, but when we were overseas, my parents made the specific decision to make sure to see as much of that area as possible with me and my sister. So I just kind of took it for granted that everybody did that. But
No.
obviously that's not the case.
Yeah. I mean, personally, my family doesn't travel. They don't go anywhere. You know, everyone's kind of stuck in their own ways and their own comfort zone. And my mom, like, hates the idea of traveling and talks about it like a bad thing. Like, I don't travel like you do. I mean, it's crazy to me. And I feel that does happen, especially in our parents' generation here in the States, because it's also harder to travel somewhere. If you're going to go somewhere, you're either staying in the United States or you're making the commitment to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I guess both my parents are from Connecticut. My whole extended family pretty much still lives in Connecticut. And not that, I don't think there's anyone like adverse to traveling really, but yeah, it wasn't a big part of any of their lives. They're all still in Connecticut. Right. My cousins are still basically more or less in Connecticut, or, you know, most of them. So yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, most people kind of don't, especially international travel.
Right. And it is harder for us here. I feel like it's a different story, you know, in Europe. But it is, I think there's such a value in being able to see the world, see different culture, understand that perspective of everybody lives differently. I feel like it makes you more courageous, too. Because the more you're forced to step out of your comfort zone, the more you are forced into situations that you don't have to be necessarily in the daily. It keeps you sharp and willing and ready to deal with kind of what the world throws your way. And I guess I want to ask you, how do you think your life benefited from getting that opportunity to travel at a young age? Even if you didn't necessarily, like, if you weren't able to appreciate it as much as maybe you should have, you still, I'm sure, took great lessons from it.
Yeah, it was super valuable. It was the most, I mean, it was a military base, military elementary school. And not to, like, shit on any of the teachers there, but it's not, like, the most rigorous curriculum, you know, on a military base for elementary school in Okinawa, right?
Right.
I mean, my third grade teacher literally would go to the one Blockbuster over there, rent movies, not educational movies, just whatever, and put them on. You know, those rolly TVs from back in our day? Yeah, she'd roll out the TV, put in whatever was this week's few picks from Blockbuster, and we would just watch movies. And there was no teaching at all happening.
Oh, my God.
So as far as, like, what I gained, first of all, I lost nothing by being, like, my parents had no problem just kind of pulling me and my sister out of school for, you know, a week, 2 weeks, and going to travel. And, you know, I'm sure that we got, like, assigned, here's some home travel work to do to keep up with the class. You know, if you're watching Blockbuster movies, like, all day in class, you're not doing that much work anyways. That being said, my fourth grade teacher was one of the best teachers I've ever had. So
yeah.
Third and fifth were kind of misses. Fourth was good. But it's not something, you just learn a lot about, even if you're not trying to learn about cultures at that age, you're experiencing them.
It makes you more comfortable.
Yeah,
right? With the world.
When we were over there, obviously, like, if you left the base, it was Okinawans who, you know, speak Japanese. And it's not like a super English speaking community, you know, off base community. There was plenty of people that can speak English because people can speak English everywhere, unlike us who only speak English.
I know, we're terrible.
And often pretty poorly, even at that. But just having to navigate that, like a language barrier at, you know, in third grade, fourth grade, teaches you something.
Yeah. That's a good point.
We would go off base. We could just walk off, you know, with a parent off base, and they were called mama-san shops. They were just like little shops, little convenience, almost like little convenience stores. And the hot thing for my age group was tops, battle tops. You'd get these little metal tops, and they'd have the string you wind on the bottom of them, and the Japanese yen, the 5-cent yen, the 5 yen, has a hole in it. It's the coin with the hole in it. And the trick was you'd get the string, you'd put the string through the hole in the coin and tie a knot through it, and you would put the coin between your two fingers, and you'd wrap the thing, and then you spin it with the string, and the string comes off because you're holding the coin on one end and it spins it.
Right.
Anyways, that was the hot, like, third, fourth grade thing to have. And they sold all these battle tops over there. So I think they were like the equivalent of a dollar of, U.S. money. And you'd go out there with your 100 yen, which was basically $1, and you'd buy that week's hot top, and you'd go back on the base. But I had to, interact with people who spoke no English.
Right.
They were used to, interacting with people who spoke only English, because it's a bunch of shithead kids from the military base. But just having to have that interaction is very valuable.
That's a good point. I think a lot of people immediately are off-put from traveling because of the language barrier. They're uncomfortable because they can't communicate. It's a very unsettling feeling knowing you can't communicate with someone. And
this is also pre-internet.
Yes.
You're just...
Yes,
we
you're
didn't have
just
it.
SOL.
Like,
yeah.
I have this coin.
Yeah.
Holding up.
This,
and I want this blue battle top.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll say you saw firsthand when we were out like a couple weeks ago. I don't have any problem with the language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the fact that it's uncomfortable, but I have no problem trying to get involved and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll pull up my Google Translate or whatever, which I mean, back in the day you wouldn't have.
Just like I did back in the day.
But a lot of people, that is one of the reasons they're just completely prevented from traveling.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, as a kid, I didn't think that much about it. I mean, but I don't know. It gives me pause, at least now, to know I'm going to a country where, if I didn't have a phone that could translate a language, or I didn't bring, like a reference dictionary for like common words, or if you're trying to use public transit. I know you hate using the train systems,
and
much. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't like using the subway system in New York City.
Right.
It stresses me out.
Yes.
I mean, and I can read those words just fine. Do that in a country you don't even read or speak the language, and you don't know who does. I mean, I get it. That's stressful.
I had to do that in Germany, and I was terrified. I had a trip where I was on the train solo, maybe 10 or 15 times, just from layovers and running around and going to different cities. And I was terrified.
Yeah.
And by the end, I'm like, well, I'm a pro at the trains. But even still, I mean, some of the stations are very well covered in English. They have the English and the German, and then some of them don't. And it is very horrifying to be at the train station where they don't have good translation, and the intercom comes on and they make an announcement and they don't translate it, and everyone goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, what's happening?
Yeah.
What am I missing?
I mean, that's valuable. Anyways, being able to do that get that experience as a kid was valuable. I mean, another, seeing different culture, for example, here's something that sticks out in my mind, because as a kid, I was like, oh my God, these suckers. They would go to school on Saturdays. They had a 6-day school week.
What?
6-day weeks.
No.
Yeah. So you'd go off base on a Saturday, because I'm off. Going to some playground with my parents, and they also they were very uniform.
Yes.
I mean, plenty of schools in this country also use usually private schools, but I think all the schools there were uniform.
I remember that from Sailor Moon.
Yeah, so they looked looked like that. That wasn't that's what they looked like. So you'd see them in the Sailor Moon uniforms going to school on a Saturday, and I remember being in third and fourth grade, like. Oh, these suckers going to school on a Saturday. Don't they know that's supposed to be off? Joke's on us Americans, because they tend to excel academically.
Yes, but what about that 4-day work week?
Yeah, I mean, we have it backwards now, right? Take that day off in school, and then just work yourself to the grind for the man in corporate America. It's got it backwards. I want that 4-day work week. I want to take a 0-day work week at this point.
Me too.
Anyways, just things like that stand out. We saw a bunch of, it's bad. I don't even remember what they're really called, but a lot of festivals. I wouldn't even know what they were celebrating, but it was very different than in the stuff you'd see here. You mentioned Sailor Moon.
Yes.
We experienced Sailor Moon before it became a thing in this country.
Yeah.
Before it became really popular here. Same with the guy version was Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
I have a whole I still have them.
I saw them.
Yeah, you saw them. I have a whole Tupperware bin of Dragon Ball Z cards from, before they were translated.
I know
English
Marissa had the Sailor Moon. She had that Sailor Moon trash.
They were going on all there years, a few years before they became kind of popular in the States, and had the U.S. equivalent versions of them. But that's cool. Like you see, cool. Like the Japanese anime that became mainstream in our country years before that. And then, like I said, my parents pulled us out of school a bunch, and we traveled to a lot of places that you just wouldn't probably see.
Thailand.
Yeah. Let's see, we saw Thailand, Singapore, briefly a little bit of Guam, not really to explore that much. South Korea. Not that this is that, but Hawaii was accessible from there.
Right? That's right. Yes.
It's
like it's closer. It's
Pearl Harbor was like the thing they attacked. Right. Yeah. Anyways, so we got a few trips out there, which it's a nice Hawaiian vacation, right? And the way they did that is because my dad was a Marine. You could it was called taking a hop, and he would just show up at the military airport, and you'd like, oh, I want to go to Thailand, and you would like find the flights, the military flights that are like bringing troops and equipment or whatever to Thailand, and you would just hope that somebody canceled a ticket. You just sit there and wait, and you might show up and just sit there and be like, okay, well, none today, and show up the next morning, and you just wait until, oh, there's 4 seats available in this one, get on. And it was free. I mean, that was the point. We didn't pay anything to get these places.
Wow.
So we would be taken, like they would take us out of school for a while because you couldn't actually plan the trip ahead because you weren't actually sure when you'd get on a plane and get there.
Right.
You knew you'd probably get on within a few days, but you couldn't pre-book the hotel because probably not going to be there, on that day. Which I guess also kind of adds some. It would be probably stressful as the adult to me, not being able to like. I can't even book the stuff in the country I don't speak the language for ahead of time because I don't even know when I'm going to show up.
I feel like that wouldn't bother your parents.
It did not. Well, I never thought about it because it didn't bother them at all. They liked it. I mean, my mom will talk about like, oh yeah, we loved like just like the uncertainty and just showing up and like kind of don't even know where you're going to go or be necessarily. And just
oh no, that's
because you could just take any.
Yeah,
you didn't have to go to that place either. You can be like, oh well, Thailand's not available, but Singapore is. I guess I'll go there.
Wow.
Anyways, I'm just a kid with a game. I was handed a Game Boy and just shut up until we get there and behave.
And now you're afraid to fly.
I don't like flying, which is really ironic because I had no issues with it until I was maybe in my mid-20s. And I forget what the trip was, but I hadn't flown in a few years at that point because it would have been probably like late high school through early college. I forget where I was even going. But I got on a plane. Didn't expect any problem, right? I've never had a problem flying. I've flown all over the world. My whole get in, it takes off. I'm like, I really hate this. Oh my god. I'm like, why am I'm like panicking on this like takeoff. But I've flown dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Anyways, I just don't like it. I don't know. Like,
I never liked it.
I mean, I'll do it, but I don't like it. I don't like at this point. Flying is not what I guess the experience it used to be for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
But I don't like any part of the flying experience now. I like to see new places, and flying is just the price you have to pay. In my, for me, the price I have to pay to do that thing I want to do. But for me, I'm unhappy from the moment I pull into the parking lot in an airport. Just parking in them is a nightmare. Yeah. The second I pull into that parking lot and navigate, the 20 different exits for the different type, economy parking and long-term parking, just figuring that out until I'm in the hotel at the destination. I'm unhappy until I'm just in the destination hotel. Not even in the airport. Because then you have to get a cab or an Uber. Or
It can be stressful. Yeah. I will say, when I went to Buenos Aires in 2023 for the Penguins. For the Penguins. It was very stressful getting a cab to my hotel. And it was far enough that I had to get a cab.
Yeah.
Or an Uber. But the Ubers didn't work for the airport I went because I was supposed to fly into Iziza. And it flew me into the other airport, which is like by the water in Buenos Aires. And it was chaos. And I couldn't get an Uber because they didn't service there specifically for whatever bureaucratic reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cab companies there were booked out an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I had to wait
Pretty
an hour and a half
Did you bring your Game
for
Boy?
a cab. I didn't, but I did eat, so there was that. But it was incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I hated flying. I hated it so much. It was just hell to me. And then there was a year that I was on 40 planes. And I was, okay, well, I'm just going to get used to this now. And now I'm a little bit of a ball of stress. I mean, you see me. I'm just like, we're going to go here, we're going to go here, we're going to arrive at this time, we're going to do this. As long as I have the structure with it, it's okay.
I mind less the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like the fly. I actually just don't like the flying.
Mm-hmm.
The actual flight is the thing that stresses me out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't like being in the air.
Yeah.
I don't like not having like control, and I just don't like the.
If you go to sleep, I'll say when I start to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And if that in between when I start to wake up, that feeling of having nothing under you really gets to me.
Yeah. I mean, what I try to do now is basically drug myself to go to sleep on the flight itself. Yeah. Dramamine, Benadryl, whatever you got.
I like Dramamine.
Yeah.
Dramamine, I pop a Dramamine and I'm pretty good for most of the flight.
Just pop a Benadryl and a Dramamine, wash it down with 2 glasses of wine.
I will say I've gotten in trouble on many flights because, especially those overseas flights, they'll before dinner come over. Would you like a wine? And you're, oh, okay, I'll have one. And then you have it, and then they come over with dinner. Well, you have to have a dinner with a wine with your dinner.
Picked
and then
you up at an airport, and the flight was only like an hour long, and you were It was an airport with one terminal. With one exit, and you got lost.
Well, that was because I got upgraded to first class because my Delta Flyer miles.
Wow.
And they got me because they said, would you like a Prosecco before the plane took off? And I said, oh, sure. And I have it. And I'm thinking, well, this will last me the whole flight. And then she comes by to say, I have to take that because we're going to take off, so you should just finish it. Because you can't have it when we're taking off. I'm like, well, you gave it to me before we even took off. So I just downed it. And then she came by after we were in the air with, would you like another Prosecco? I'm like, well, I wanted the one to have the whole time. So, yes, I do want that.
Yeah.
And I took that one.
And then you got lost.
And then I got lost
in the one terminal.
The airport with a single terminal. It had like 4 gates.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I got lost.
Yeah.
In an airport with 4 gates. But I will say, I guess I want to summarize this quickly and get your viewpoint on it before we call it.
Well, let me give you a few other stories.
Okay.
Anyways. Yes. So, anyways, we can summarize, and it's valuable and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But, I saw Singapore, which was very cool. If you ever get the chance to see that, it's very tropical. It rained like a bunch of the time we were there, but it's like short kind of rain, like short thunderstorms that come through. Like, they're just like a part of like they just expect it to rain very frequently. Went to this like great water park. In the U.S., like if it thunder and lightning, like everyone's out for no. This was just we're just in a thunderstorm at a water park and nobody gives a shit. Like
because
it's
God.
Because I guess if you cleared it out every time it thundered and lightning,
they had no business.
You would never have a person.
Right.
When we left Singapore, my mom had like this thing about checking the weather at Singapore for like the next like month. Like
my God.
She's like, I wonder what's doing in Singapore. It thunderstormed every day for a month after we left. We had a few days where it didn't, but I guess it was just unusual. Anyways, it's really pretty. It has like the crazy strict laws. I have to see if I still have it, but I got a little magnet with like my thing I made my parents buy me of a little cartoon boy peeing with like don't pee on the sidewalks.
Oh my god!
And I had a little like kid peeing on it, and it was like a $500 fine.
Why would you pee on the sidewalk?
I don't know, but it had a fine for everything. Like I think Singapore's, at least at that time, like you weren't supposed to chew gum.
Oh, I did hear that.
Yeah, it's very nice and very clean because of that kind of thing, right? Like zero tolerance for any of that.
It's a very Eastern European guy thing to pee on just the side of the road.
Is that a thing? I mean,
that is a thing because
I just like that it had a
through...
picture of a little, I was,
right,
a third grader. I was like, this picture's got a little picture of a cartoon wiener of a guy peeing. I'm getting it.
When we were driving through Slovakia and Czech Republic, there were guys just like stopped over to pee, and Kat was going on a rant about how disgusting it was and how like this just happens here. And so I guess maybe.
Well, speaking of peeing, you recently found a toilet with one of the holes.
Oh, I hate the whole toilet.
See, I wasn't fazed by that because of my cultural experience from traveling, Mallory. That was just normal. That was how their toilets were the ditch toilet, the toilets that are in the just built into the ground.
Squatty potties.
Yeah, squatty potty. Yeah.
Yep.
The sewer system in a lot of the area, they were called benjo ditches. It was open to the ground.
Oh.
It's on the side of the road, open.
Okay.
So,
Ew.
yeah. Anyway, Singapore was very cool. Thailand was still probably the starkest contrast I've seen of crazy wealth and poverty next to each other. Literal, like palaces made to look like they're built out of gold ingots with, one block over, or maybe on the other side of the street, just dozens of homeless, like a homeless encampment.
Yep.
It's also where I experienced my first strip club.
Oh my gosh.
It was like the main city, Bangkok, is like a crazy party,
Oh yeah.
Like
I saw that episode.
Crazy party.
I saw that Indiana Jones movie.
All the fourth graders wanted to hit it up. And it was, they had, bars and party scene. We're just walking through in the evening with my family. And, people are just wasted in whatever street where, we were walking through. And they're kind of like open to the road, like street bars, like open to the sidewalk. They were like not even full doors, right? Like some kind of covering on the building. And this drunk Thailand guy just like, like puts his arm over me. I'm a fourth grader or fifth grader.
Oh my god!
And like kind of like pushes me into the door, like into the through the curtain.
Yeah.
And there's just a naked stripper right there in the middle, and I was just like, oh. South Korea is cool. I mean, we spent most of it in Seoul, which is the capital, and people would go there just to shop. It was like crazy shopping stuff. There was like an indoor amusement park that I went to with my grandparents. Oh, it's cool. I mean, you see stuff like that you're just not going to see, and I just took it for granted at that age. But way more valuable than watching blockbuster movies in third grade, which was what I would have been doing otherwise.
And I mean, I think it just comes with that level of taking away your fear, getting you out of your comfort zone, making you more versed to the world.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I want to summarize that by saying that it's interesting because back in Victorian times, hundreds of years ago, it was a sign of education to be cultured, to travel to different courts, like we said, to get to experience different cities. And that was something that was very common in Europe. To be able to do that, to kind of get your education. And a sign of visiting other cultures made you basically an intellectual and helped you to develop those. That was part of your studies was just seeing how the rest of the world worked.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess, I'm going to get your opinion on this because I'm trying to analyze it in my head here. And I guess a lot of that died during the Depression. And I think a lot of that people couldn't travel. I know my grandparents didn't really travel. It was less common to travel, especially in the United States, just because it's harder to be able to get around at all. And you have to commit to being able. You have to pay a lot of money to be able to see Europe. And if you're in Europe, you can see whatever country you want very, cheaply
I will say,
and easily.
I was fortunate because we saw this for very little. I mean, like I said, we would take these hops, and we weren't paying for travel.
Right.
It's expensive. I mean,
and it's only gotten more expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Yes.
So I mean, you kind of have to pick your, pick your battles,
and
pick
in
your places.
The 1960s, when Pan Am was huge, it was an ordeal. I mean, you could only fly if you had money.
Right.
And it was a whole experience. You weren't, the flight itself was something you invested in because you were getting, beds and these great meals and they're cutting steak for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very different classy experience. So travel was very expensive, and it has become more accessible for everyone, which is probably why I think when we get to, the millennial generation, it's easier to be able to travel.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to be able to see the world because, the Great Depression happened, the wars. There was a lot of things that kept people from traveling.
Right.
So our parents, I think, didn't really have those opportunities and are very afraid of it a lot of times because of that.
Yeah, I mean, neither of my parents had been out of Connecticut until my dad got sent somewhere from the military.
Right.
And he only joined the military because he got drafted into Vietnam. So it was all like basically an accident.
Right. But they have a curious mind too. Like they're very adventurous people and they go with the punches and they had the want and will to be able to see the world when they were out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
And I think because of Instagram and social media making things more accessible, it has definitely taken a turn. Like our generation's not maybe so afraid to travel. But a lot of people don't have the opportunity.
You're also just, you are just more connected now. You can go a lot of places in the world and you're not really ever out of touch. Do you know?
Right.
Like, if you have your phone and you have the right charge, bring the right charger plug to recharge it. Like different outlets, like you have to get the that stresses me out. Like not having the adapter to charge my phone, right? Because it's like your connection back to the world. But if you have that, everyone has a smartphone. Your phone can translate the language for you in real time, right? You can call. There's no long distance calling really anymore, right? You just call. You can call. You could call for help, if you needed it across the world, almost anywhere in the world. So that does take some of that fear out.
It does. Yeah. I will say the first time I ever left the country, I went to Serbia.
Yeah.
And I studied in Belgrade, and there were no smartphones. I didn't have a phone with me. And in order to, let my parents know that I was okay and that things were going well, I would check in every couple of days, and I would have to go on a bus to get to the theater in the morning and then walk like a mile. So, it was like a whole ordeal. Okay, you get on the bus, you take the bus to here, you get off here, you walk a mile. And then we kind of stay in, that was old Belgrade, for the remainder of the day and come back relatively late. So in between the times that I had after the theater, before we were doing something together at night, I would take a bus into the heart of the city, get out into like the kind of city center, go to an internet cafe, go up, rent a space in the internet cafe, and then get on Facebook. This is when Facebook was new too, right? Yeah. It was right when I think they started letting parents on. My mom had a Facebook. Okay. So it was like right when in that.
Ruined.
Yes, they got ruined for everybody when that happened. But I remember my mom had just gotten a Facebook. And I think she only got a Facebook to talk to me.
I was a freshman. My first semester freshman year was Facebook's release. Yeah.
My mom didn't even have an email yet. So I would get on Facebook. She was just inept with that. So she'd get on Facebook
with
and
what
I would
email?
message her.
With what login?
I don't know. Well, I guess she maybe had it for that, but she didn't use it. Is what I should say. Yeah. She had it for the necessity to have it, but did not use. If I sent her an email, I'm okay. She wouldn't have gotten it. So I had to get on Facebook, and she would be like on, like her, Facebook waiting for me to come on, and okay, I'm here, and I'm fine, and I'm in Serbia, and I would check in every couple of days, but. That was it. And I don't know how I did it.
It's like when you get an email from, an older person now.
Yes.
And they're, what's your email? Oh, it's johnsmith@hotmail.com.
I know the Hotmail. Why do you have a Hotmail?
You're using that internet a lot, huh?
It's true. The Hotmail is the sign of I don't use the internet.
You're pretty computer savvy, huh? What's that AOL? AOL, you still on those AOL free minutes?
But I don't know how I did it. I really don't know how I did it because I rely so much now on my GPS. More than anything else. If I have my GPS, if I had to pick one functionality on my phone, it would be the GPS. Because I can put in, I need to get to here, and walking, taking the bus,
I would
whatever.
need it. That's not even travel. I honestly wouldn't be able to get into like the heart of Richmond, the city that I live in. I would have trouble getting to.
Without the GPS.
Without the GPS at this point. It's the same, but you just kind of offload that type of learning. Just, in general, I know.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But how many phone numbers do you know now?
Right.
You used to have to remember the phone number.
I know your phone number. You don't know mine.
I don't know.
I remember your phone number from Brandermill when we were kids.
Well, Yeah, I don't. I mean, I never called my own number.
I remember mine. I remember my other friend Jaleesa's. Because I called it all the time.
I know mine from Woodland, the other house.
I know that one too.
Yeah. That number and my current cell phone number, which is the only cell phone number I've heard, are the only two numbers I know. I'm not even joking.
Wow. I don't know. I will. That's part of my thing with the travel is technology has been so catered to give us everything we need effortlessly. So we never have to step out of our comfort zone ever. You've heard me say it a million times. So there is no, even when you're going somewhere completely foreign, you have that technology to keep you in your comfort zone as much as possible. But I think that's why people don't like to travel, is because they're stuck in their comfort zone. The world is catered to make them happy and comfortable and warm and whatever. And getting out of that is jarring. And people just have become so averse to stepping out of their comfort zone, trying new things, seeing the world, and tackling it from, a different perspective.
Yeah.
Our grandparents would have no problem getting from point A to point B without technology. We couldn't do it. It would be very difficult for us to do it.
You wouldn't be able to do it if it was just taken from you right now.
Right.
But if you hadn't grown dependent on it, you'd be just as capable as anyone. I mean, it's just...
But we've lost a little bit of that sense of adventure by just everything being catered to be as easy as possible for us. We're never challenging ourselves. It's just, here you go. Here's this. You don't have to think about it. It's all done for you. And every advancement is made to be, well, here it's even easier for you. Here now it's even easier for you.
Well, yeah,
now it's even easier for you.
Most tech is not developed to make your life harder.
No, but it makes people less willing to step out of their comfort zone and do things that might be different. You become programmed to be comfortable and safe. And in that sense,
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, it also opens up the world a little bit to you.
It does.
There are probably people that will go places that they would not go if they did not have that tech. Even if they were 30 years older, that would not have they never would have left. I mean, a lot of our parents' generation never left their hometown.
Right. But I think it just depends on the type of person you are, I guess. There's a lot of people here that are just going to stay shut in. And I guess there's a lot of people that are going to take advantage of the opportunities.
I mean, historically, if you go back even further, I mean, I think most people never left. I mean, I forget what the stat is, but most people didn't leave. I'm just making this number up, but it's a small number, like a 10-mile radius of where they were born and died. Right? I'm talking like medieval. I'm talking more like pre-cars, right? But why, right? Like, yeah.
It's a good and a bad. I mean, technology should make things easier for us. I'm happy that we have all of it, but it does. You lose the sense of adventure and the want to, I guess, have those experiences sometimes when you don't have to.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And you don't think about the times that everything goes perfectly on your trip and you're just like, well, that was great. I mean, it might be like, that was a great vacation. But you talk about the time that, well, my phone died and I had to get here and I had no idea what I was doing. And whenever something goes wrong, that's the thing that sticks out in your mind, because that's when you're actually having an adventure and you're pushed to do something new. And, well, I had to do all these crazy things to get there.
You should run
that
an
becomes
adventure show and blog and podcast.
Well, that's what we're doing. Oh. But you bring a good point. I mean, I think it, I guess, is just defined by the type of person you are, too. Because it does make it easier. Everything's more accessible. But it makes you sometimes less prone to want to take the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm glad that you got the experiences you did as a child. I didn't leave the country until I was 20 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's not uncommon. I thought it was uncommon growing up because I had such a different experience, but I recognized that mine was not the average U.S. kid experience. Yeah. Or adult or whatever, but
yeah. Well, anyway, this is a nice, fun, long tangent about Starbucks and video games and travel. Oh my.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you for joining me today, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Mallory.
And thank you guys for all tuning in to Weird World Adventures, the podcast. Until next time, everybody.
Stay weird. I did it!